Yeah, for sure, of course.
Yeah, just to have something we can look at. If you can share the screen yourself, and me and Philip, we can review the note later, so no worries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Have any of you been personally affected by CrowdStrike? I had to sleep in the airport yesterday.
Oh shit! No, I haven't, luckily.
Yeah.
Which airport?
Yeah, Split.
Oh,
Well, I've never been to. Okay, I haven't been to Split very often, but every time I've been, there was always a problem. So I think they're blaming CrowdStrike for this one.
Yeah, I was a bit suspicious because CrowdStrike incident should be fixed by now, but it was a complete technological meltdown. No computers were working at all.
I mean, it depends how quickly they can fix things. Yeah, it should not be a new attack, but if they, if they're out of their depth and they have to go and reboot every single machine one by one, it could take days. So yeah.
Yeah, so the screens were not working. They had to announce every flight manually. Tickets were hand-drawn, and the check-in was also manual with a paper list and just crossing names.
Well, it's a good thing their printer was working.
Yeah, no, I don't think they had a printer. Like, everything was written by hand. Also, the bar was also processing transactions by cash and then writing down everything manually with a pen.
Ouch.
Like, trust me, bro policy.
Yeah, it was funny. Like, there was no seating software assignation, so basically you were just onboarded in the plane and they just like pick whatever seat you want. Like, we'll figure it out later.
How many people try to get business class?
I mean, it was a Welling flight, so everyone had the same economy. So, but yeah, if it was that would be funny. Are we missing someone? So I see Marcos from Nethermind. Should we get started? Yeah, Joe 4. Yeah, let's get started. It's fine. Okay, so thank you for attending. Today is Gnosis Core Dev Call, July 24th. Philip cannot make it, so I will lead the call. So let's start over. Let's follow the agenda. Let's start over with infrastructure. Any updates from Gateway?
No issues. No, so the migration, right? The new cluster works as expected.
Okay, thank you. From research topics, any updates from Shutter?
Yeah, so we are currently researching on latency and latency improvements. Therefore, we are building our own dashboard and working together with Nethermind and Geth, the validators, to bring down, to find out the reason for the latency we have currently. Beside that, we also built as requested, a dashboard which is going to be public, to observe like the status of the steps of the system and how it's behaving. If you want, I can briefly share my screen and show you what I have.
Yeah, sure, that would be lovely.
Does that work at the same time?
I see. Yeah, give it a try. Otherwise, we can switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see your dashboard.
Yeah.
As the main thing.
Yeah. Still, like if someone is interested, I can share the link. It's currently public, but we wouldn't want to share it publicly. So mainly, what's a more general one is the observer one. So we have the backend, which is kind of observing the whole system, like incoming transactions, decryption key messages, and if they get included into the block. So yeah, briefly overview here, like how the system is performing and how many keys we get and how many transactions get included. So currently there's not a lot of activity on the network. For one, I believe there is. I don't know if Gateway is running the shutterized version of the Nethermind client.
I guess so. Yeah.
So yesterday, your colleague said that you're not running it right now. But I don't know. Like, yeah, would be great to just find this out so that we can exclude this possibility, because I think it's 5 out of 8 validators are run by you guys, and then we can continue with the investigation. Because sometimes, so the underlying problem is sometimes the block is being built without shutterized transactions. The reason for it is that the keys don't arrive in time. I believe the cutoff is currently hard-coded to 3 seconds into the block, into the slot. So yeah, we currently investigating on the performance so that we bring that down. But also we discussed with the Nethermind team that we can make this value configurable. But yeah, for investigation, it would be great that we know all of the validators which are registered are running with the software. Yeah, so this will be extended. Also, we will share it in the Shutter group, and also if you have metrics you want to see, feel free to suggest, yeah, and give feedback.
So I guess can you go back to the dashboard?
Yeah.
So the received key shards and decryption keys, should it match?
Yes, where it should match. I have to check with the guys who built the metrics, because could also, like, the key shares could also be more share. They are more shares than decryption keys, right?
I see. So once we have 1 key per slot, that means we can decrypt the transactions. So in a way, this is a proxy for adoption.
Yes, exactly.
So you could, instead of computing, I guess this is a very small interval. If you do like receive decryption keys in an average time, let's say of, I don't know, like 1 hour divided by 5, then you would get the adoption, which would be an interesting.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. So basically here you can see, like, whenever we there is a shutterized validator in the decryption keys per slot. So you can see it's not every slot, but it's every validator, like it's every slot where the validator is registered. And so that's a misleading metric currently. So there's always 1 empty key which is going to be produced so that we see the keepers are still alive. It's kind of like the slot key. But if this number increases as well, then it's a metric also for adoption, basically.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
and then
if you want, can you share this in Gnosis-Core Devs channel? Is that private enough for you?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah,
okay.
Can do that. And also we have additional insights on connectivity and pings. So I think it's open for everyone who got the link.
Frederick, two questions. Maybe I missed the obvious one, but has any block been built using shutterized mempool transactions?
Yes, many blocks. Yeah.
Okay. but that would be a metric that I would be, to me, the number one metric I'd be looking at. Like, how many blocks have been built in this way?
Yeah, but for that we need, then what do you mean by build in this way? So if there's no transaction, then it's obviously just built normally, right?
Okay, yeah, with at least one transaction in it, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And for that, we are currently also writing a script which sends, like, whenever there is a shutterized block, it sends shutterized transactions for the next slot, so that we can exactly build this metric.
Cool. All right. And the second one, more a comment, you mentioned like customizing this latency. I believe we cannot just in Nethermind kind of arbitrarily customize the latency up just because other validators would not accept my block, but I'm not sure if that's what you meant.
Yeah, that's completely right. So I mean, at t like time equals 0 for the slots, the block needs to be released. So I guess at one point there needs to be a cutoff. The question more would be like, what is a good value which we can have in the short term, so that until we have like significantly improved on the latency, and instead of having it hard coded, which would always require a new release to change the value, we make it configurable, but obviously it should have boundaries.
Yeah. All right.
So there is a maximum value until where the network becomes unhealthy at one point, right? That's, I think, from our side, everything.
Thank you so much for showing that. I guess for the recording, can we maximize the nodes somehow? I'm not sure if that's done automatically.
Yeah, for sure. Let me check.
Okay, great. Thank you. I don't think there is any other topic regarding research, so let's move to testing. Any updates regarding Hive?
Yeah, hello. During the past week, we developed a technical plan for the Factoring Hive test. The final improvements will be divided into 5 parts, and we have already measured part 1, which includes all the latest upstream updates. Currently, I am working on the second part, which will be include Genesis refactoring to use the same approach as upstream, and also adding new scripts and tools to speed up test development and debugging.
Thank you. And regarding, Marcos?
Yeah, also we started working on the Ethereum test to do the migration to Gnosis. And so that's also something that we wanted to share. The process will be like trying to run those tests for Nethermind, which currently in the stop that the repository has is not possible. It's hard-coded for Besu and Geth. But we are working on that part now. Then we'll be like try to run them on Gnosis and fix any problem that we may see in the progress.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. I was just going to ask for that, so that's very exciting. Yeah, give him some time for Arman. Yeah, don't worry, we'll take over. It's fine. Just it's a good tag lifted there. Okay. Client updates. Nethermind. Good to see you, Lucas. Thanks for coming.
No problem. One important thing, we released a hotfix version 1.27.1. This includes a hotfix for post-Aura networks, mostly in the context, and it was found on Chiado issue. So because of in 1.27 we have some very aggressive caching mechanism that increase the performance, we actually explicitly didn't hook them up in the Aura post Aura chains at the beginning, which was a mistake because well, the feature was if the feature wasn't disabled explicitly, it creeped out to some parts of the code, and while it wasn't hooked up correctly in other parts, and it caused a potential edge case issue that after some specific combination of a bad block that's being produced, then might be some corruption in some kind of caching mechanism. So the workaround would be to turn off this feature, but in the default configs it is turned on. So we released a hotfix, and the hotfix correctly wires it up for Aura. So we were debating, should we just turn the feature off in the hotfix, or just port a code that was already in master that hooks it up for other chains also, and we decided to do the latter. So yeah, so it's there. I can also send in the chat if someone wants to use 127 and don't update, I can also send the how to turn this feature off. So he could also use 127.0. So that's basically it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was gonna touch on the incident, but we can do that at the end. Erigon.
So yesterday we released the first alpha version of Erigon 3. So we've been working on it for years, and it's still an alpha. But what Erigon 3 brings, it brings two significant improvements. To like now you can sync an archive node in a matter of hours, not days, and also the granularity of state history is reduced from the block level to the transaction level. Under the hood, it's been a lot of work, but it's not polished yet. But everyone curious is of course. Like we highly recommend that people start playing with it and experimenting with the alpha.
Okay, thanks. Next, Geth.
Yeah, so I'm working on getting Shadow to work. I have two issues currently. One of them is that block produced are invalid. So, but like block production is working. Simply, it produces invalid blocks that triggered an issue and uncovered a bug in Nethermind. So you're welcome, I guess. And the other problem, this one is a bit more difficult to debug. Yeah, I don't exactly know what's wrong because it's. I mean, I'm still debugging. That's why I was hoping to get more info as to what went wrong with Nethermind in case the blocks I produced were the issue, but it's not. So I don't know. It looks like, okay, from what I can tell right now is every time there's a contract creation, it fails. But yeah, it's just an intuition. I've been debugging. I don't know. So one thing I would appreciate, if a couple weeks ago we talked about the ability to trace was like system contracts as well. Yeah, Łukasz?
Yeah, so the invalid block had only withdrawals in it, so it would be either withdrawals contract or block reward contract that you have issues with.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, so that might help for the first bug I was describing. Unfortunately, I need to fix the second one before I can really tackle the first. But yeah, so at some point with Marek, we were talking about the possibility to implement tracing also for system contracts. I would love to have this feature so that I can see if what I'm like the system contracts I'm calling on Shadow have an issue. But yeah, otherwise I'm a bit in the dark, but I keep looking, and hopefully I'll find something. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep.
So for system contract tracing, the only confusing thing is where these traces would be attached to, because normally the traces are in order and for transactions in block, and those transactions are not explicitly in block. So yeah, it's a bit confusing, and we would have to probably make it as an option to trace them and not default. So things like that. So
I mean, that's fine by me. We also don't have to make it an official release if that's too complicated. I'm happy to have a custom RPC system where I can just ask for it. If it's a prototype, I don't really care. It's just about figuring out what the output, what the updates are.
That's all.
Oops. Oh yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure if you muted. Okay, thank you. I guess the next one is Ref. Can you scroll a bit down, Arnon? I'm not sure if it's frozen for me, the video, but I can see the notes below. Anyway, I'd assume the next is Ref. We don't have more clients. So on my end, I did the PR to Ref, so hopefully to make the diff easier. If you're aware, the current strategy is not to fork the client, but build on its extensibility, importing Ref as a library. They want to support that, and it's working okay so far, but the diff is pretty big. So we will be working on having examples on the repo for the type of things that we have to modify for Gnosis, and they have been receptive to minimize this diff. So that's good. Meanwhile, the fix that Lukasz gave me for the Genesis block on DevNets works. So thank you. And I'll see how far I can get with that, at least to work on post Aura while I'll figure out the block properties issue. Cool. So that's it for clients. And I don't think we have any other topic of research. So maybe we can just talk a little bit, at least just explain what happened, even though we just repeat what we said in the group. So does anyone want to volunteer to explain a bit of timeline of the issue, root cause, and fix?
I'm not sure if Łukasz wants to chime in again about the very technical stuff.
I can chime in on technical, but I don't remember the timeline details.
Okay, the timeline, actually, I'm not having that in front of my eyes right now. But as I recall, it started at last Friday, yeah?
Isn't that last Wednesday? Because that's when I ran the first, that's when I managed to join the chain.
Yeah, but the issue was that you joined the chain with Geth node, and Geth started to propose some blocks, right? But those blocks seemed to be in line with the chain, right? So at least every invalid block which was proposed by Geth was following the proper head number of the head, right? And there was one block which was proposed by Geth, which was, at least from the block number, looked like it was 24 blocks behind the current head. And at this very moment, it triggered this issue, which was explained by Łukasz before. So one of the most recent features from 1.27.0 version, so pre-warming of the blocks, caused that we treated a valid block as a invalid, right? The simplest workaround of that, as we managed to find out later on, was to use the flag which Łukasz posted on the chat, so disabling the pre-warming. But afterwards we analyzed it, and suddenly we fixed that on the master branch, but yet we did not release the 1.28.0 version because it's still under testing. And yeah, so we released 1.27.1 version, which properly hooks up everything in that feature. And yeah, the 1.27.1 is released. It's released on DApp node as well. And we also released 127.1 experimental version for Shutter. So Shutter version is also updated, so Shutter validators can go back to the 127.1 if needed. But in meantime, during the problematic situation, we also rebased our Shutter version back to 126.0 as soon as possible, and we advised gateway validators and our twin stake validators to move to this version on Gnosis to avoid such situation on Gnosis Chain. And yeah, from the most important information was that 127.0 version was the only one affected. We had some nodes on 126.0 which were not affected. So we confirmed before finding out the root cause that the only version affected was the latest one, 127.0. Not sure if something more needs to be added. Yeah, Frederick?
Yeah, just a quick question. So the 127.1 Shutter experimental version is the one which you would advise to run for the validators right now?
Yes. We updated the image. As it is unofficial, we are just updating it very quickly. So once we had a 127.1 released, I just cherry-picked the version to this release branch, and we rebuilt the image. So 127.1 Shutter, the name remains the same. Of the image.
Okay, great. So since right now, I think the only validators running it is Gateway and Nethermind, it would be great to get a feedback like once all validators or shutterized registered validators are running this version.
Yeah, I've asked yesterday TwinStake to confirm that they are running 126.0, and I advised to upgrade that. We'll check today if they had a chance. So the guy who is managing that had a chance to update.
Okay,
so we'll
would be awesome if you can let me know so that we can continue with the testing.
Yeah, sure, definitely. We'll let you know today. And also, from important point of view, important point is that it was pretty much edge scenario, something which we didn't thought that it could happen, because it was a invalid block which should be on some very specific state, not the recent state. Yeah, so we didn't expect that situation. Thankfully, it happened on Chiado. So thanks, Guillaume, for actually noticing that.
Yeah, so my reasoning was to make a stage rollout, and we tested mostly on mainnet, so go to mainnet first. That's why this wasn't yet in the release enabled for post-Aura chains. But what we should have done potentially is explicitly disable the feature in the configs for our Aura chains, because it kind of messed up the code in other place, right? So that's the like kind of root cause. So being a bit too cautious there caused the issue in a way, which is ironic.
Okay, thank you so much for the details. Very appreciated, and thanks for fixing it quickly. I think that's all. Any other topic anyone wants to bring up or discuss? So let's call it here. Thank you so much, everything, for attending. Enjoy the summer. Take some time. And yeah, see you next week.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good week. Bye.
See you guys.